you know, you're inspecting what is the condition of the house at the present time, but I think, you know, a lot of people want to know, well, what are some things I can do to improve my house? You know, a lot of times people are looking cosmetically, you know, at changing the tile, changing the countertops, upgrading appliances, but I think it's also important to know that the guts of the house, whether it's the air conditioning, in this case the electrical, you know, I've had situations on inspections where the central vac, you know, the suction wasn't right, and there were some improvements that you could make to have better suction.
Well, those are all good points, because those are things that are in here too. We have the central vacuum system. We have the air conditioning system. This is the air handler. Outside we'll see the condensing unit that goes with that. Okay. Certainly the air conditioning system is a big integral part of the Florida home. You want to know how old it is, what the energy efficiency ratio is. Those are recommendations, like you said, that we can make to buyers. Now, it may be working, but hey, you know, there may be a better system they can do. They'll cut their electric bill in half.
Explain to everybody at home, briefly, what is the difference between the air handler, the compressor, and why do you sometimes see it in a garage? Sometimes you see it up in the attic somewhere where there's not a lot of access. What is the return? Because I think it's confusing. A lot of people, which is a huge thing in Florida, is, you know, just simply maintaining your units and servicing them and cleaning the filters, because that can lead to a lot of problems if you don't do routine maintenance on your air conditioning. So can you briefly tell everybody about the AC system?
The air conditioning system is there's a lot to it, and it is somewhat complex, but you said briefly. For this system, there's two parts. There's a condensing unit outside with a compressor and an air handler inside that blows the cold air throughout.
Okay.
The return that you talked about is where the return air from the inside goes in through the system, gets cooled and sent back.
Got it.
The return air is where the filter is. You need to change your filter monthly. You need to service your air conditioner yearly.
Do people do that?
No, we find a lot of things that people don't do that. In fact, of all the things, it's probably air conditioners that need the most attention or get attention from us.
Now, what is the typical life cycle of an air handler and let's say a condensing unit?
Well, the condensing unit outside, being outside and exposed to the weather, has about half the average life expectancy as the inside air handler has. The condensing unit outside roughly will last about 12 years, whereby an air handler can last 20 to 25 years being inside.
Okay, as we move into the corner here, I want to just bring up one more thing. We're going to kind of move on to another topic, but electrical hot water heater, gas hot water heater, and explain the issues of sometimes the hot water not getting to a certain part of the house quickly, and any issues surrounding that.
Well, basically you have to have a supply. You know, your water supply comes into the system. This is actually a gas unit.
Okay. That's why it's raised up off the floor.
It's raised up off the floor, and you know, they actually should have a pole here and everything, so nothing, you know, it is in line with a car that could come here, and there's a safety pole that they actually make them put so that these could never be hit. But this system here, it's a gas unit. These little numbers here tell us the size, how many gallons that it is, what year it was made, who the manufacturer is. All this information gets transferred over to the report that we give to the buyer.
Great.
As far as getting water to an area, they have, depending on the house and the size of the house, they have actual boosters and all that stuff that can be connected that will send water, you know, to an area quicker. Those are all new modern things that they're doing and all. Pressure relief valves, making sure that the thing is set up properly, how it is plumbed, you know, how this one exhausts, being a gas unit, all those things, you know, are taken into effect.
Last question related to this. People sometimes are concerned about gas. A lot of people, you know, have electric in Florida. We're starting to see a trend toward propane gas.
Yeah.
Do these things blow up?
Well, this thing over here is designed.
People are so nervous about gas.
It does not. So that this does not. They have pressure relief valves that your tank and all.
Okay, so the odds of that are very small.
Slim to none and all. As far as your gas controls and everything that's hooked up there, again, there's safety poles and all that they're designed to have your gas company and their fittings and all that stuff. very slim to none, you know, the way that the safety designs are set up. And if it's done properly according to the way the manufacturer specified, slim to none.
Okay, great. Let's go outside and let's just kind of see what's going on out there so we can kind of wrap this up, and then we'll talk about how we put the report together and interpret that.
Great.
Great. We're now in the front of the house, and you know, kind of to pull everything together, we're going to talk briefly about pavers, how they settle, stucco. When you know, fortunately, I'm not going to make you go up on the roof, but we can kind of talk about roof tiles and, you know, those issues. We have some hurricane shutters. You know, how do you pull? Let's pull it together.
Well, I guess as you can see, with a lot of things that we're doing, you can tell that there's a lot of things that need attention. There's hundreds of things in everybody's house, but the essence of the house is what's going on the outside. You have the foundation, you have the footers, you have the exterior walls, this being a CBS home. A lot of houses are CBS on the first floor, wood frame on the second floor.
CBS means concrete block with stucco?
Concrete block and stucco.
Okay.
Second floor being a frame, it's a different type of inspection, a different type of construction.
Okay.
You have your roof. You have a pre-engineered roof truss system that makes up your roof line. The attic carries a lot of things that, you know, are involved. How the thing is put together, how the roof is actually put together, how it's insulated, how that dries in the house and makes everything okay. You mentioned the pavers. You know, are they set right? Do they have tripping hazards? You know, all those things need to be checked out. Your garage door, your hurricane shutters that we have in here that are going to go up on all the windows and all the openings, are they set up for that? Does the door itself have hurricane protection, which in case this one does?
Okay, great.
And those are all the things. And as we go around the house, you'll see that the water supply is out there where the water comes into the house, the electrical disconnect, the electrical service, if there's a pool, the sprinkler system, all the things that we see on the outside that need individual attention and inspection while we're here.
Okay, I think that's a great summary. Let's go inside. Let's take a look at the inspection report that you put together. Let's just talk about that briefly so we can kind of really wrap it all up and take it from the beginning part to the actual inspection to the summary and, you know, how you evaluate it with the buyer, and well, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. This is the inspection report. It's not filled out, but this is kind of what you use to summarize all your thoughts, correct?
It is. You know, modern technology, you know, there's options. There is computer-generated reports now that can be zapped around. This style is an older style. It's actually comes in quadruplicates, copies, IBM papers. We actually transfer all of our thoughts and everything that the house has onto this report. Once it's filled out, we go over it with the buyer, say, hey, here's what's good, here's what's bad, here's what's up. There's a summary of things that need some attention.
Right.
You go from there.
Greg, thanks so much for being on the show. I think, you know, a lot of the points you brought out really kind of hit home to me, and I'm sure everybody at home, it really brought a lot of clarity as to what the process is, what are the reasonable expectations, and, you know, once they get the results, you know, what they can, you know, what they can do with it as far as how they're going to handle it as far as moving forward with purchasing a home. So thanks so much for being on the show.
It's certainly my pleasure, and all this is what we do. This is what we do. We enjoy what we do. We know that the average person doesn't even have a clue as to what's going on, and it's a lot more than the stuff that you just see, as you got a taste of today. But my pleasure, and thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. And you know, for everybody at home, you know, really, it was great to have Greg on the show, and we'll see you next time on Real Estate Today.